Welcome to Figure Out Your Life podcast, the podcast where we try to find the answers to life's everyday questions. I'm your host, Toya T, aka Toya T PhD, aka your sister from another mister, aka the best friend that you need but you didn't know you wanted, aka this is the remix. Boom. Let me stop being silly. Hey guys, welcome back. Another week, another day in quarantine. And because of that, I decided to change things up a bit and make this a fun episode because I felt like the last two were a little bit too serious. I mean, it's not gloom and doom, but sometimes I know we all need a little bit of fun, and you know that I am silly as a billy goat. So this episode I had on the brain for a while, and because I am a child of the 90s, baby of the 80s, I love remixes. I lived in the era of remixes. Like, I have albums that are remixes. I recently bought Mary J. Blige's most recent remixes album, you know, with the remixes of her first album with What's the 411 and Love No Limit and Reminisce and Remind Me, and all these great remixes from her first two albums. So I decided, why can't I just remix my podcast episodes? So that's what I'm doing. This week's episode is Figure Out Your Life, the remix. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to update my top 10 most downloaded podcast episodes for the Rona, for the quarantine, just to keep you guys up to date and to keep them relevant and fresh. So this is what I'm doing. I'm going to go through them, and the order actually is the order of the most downloaded to the least downloaded. So the top 10 most downloaded Figure Out Your Life, a Toya T episode. So here we go. Starting off with figuring out ghosting and why you should speak up instead of playing with someone else's emotion. So in that episode, I'm just going to give you a brief summary of each one because I want you to just go back and listen to them, and I'll just tell you the update for it. So in that one, I said, you know, you should not do ghosting. You shouldn't ghost people. You should speak to them. And if it happens to you, know that the person who did that to you is not for you and you should move on. Now, the update on this one is go ahead and ghost. Go ahead and ghost those people that are toxic, that are, you know, the fuck boys and fuck girls in your life. Just go ahead and ghost them. This is the perfect time to unfriend, delete, unfollow, tell off that person, and just delete their phone and block them from your life and from your contacts, because they can't come to your house. And if they do, you can just be like, well, you know, it's a quarantine, so you can't really come in and we can't talk. And so that's what I'm saying for the quarantine. I am giving you full permission to ghost. So go ahead and do it. Ghost them folks. Number 2 is figuring out how to make new friends as a grown-up. Now, in that episode, I told you to go put yourself out there, go to events, be proactive. I gave you all kinds of tips on how to make friends as a grown-up, because we have the tools on how to make friends as kids. But as adults, when we have all these different moving parts in our lives, it can become really hard to make friends with other adults. And I told you different ways on how to do that. And in this case, no new friends. This is straight up on some Drake. No new friends. We don't need no new friends, because new friends come with coronavirus, possibilities of coronavirus, and we don't need it. Okay. Now, if you want to make some friends over the social media, like some new social media friends, some new contacts, go ahead and do that. That's all good and dandy, but no person to person making of friends. Like if you see someone in the line at the grocery store or at CVS or wherever, no, this is not the time to be making connections. Okay. Number 3. Figuring out how to overcome fear, failure, and move forward with your goals. So I gave you a couple of tips on how to redefine failure and reframe your goals, to visualize your obstacles so you know how to get over them and uncover the story of why you're so afraid of failure. What is it that you failed at that has created this fear within you, that has created the stress and anxiety that has caused you to not move forward, to stay still and not go after your dreams. And I gave you the 3 powerful questions to ask yourself, which is, what did I learn from this situation? How can I grow as a person from this experience? And what are these 3 positive things about this situation? And I also told you to surrender and feel the fear. So if you are running from the fear, to actually feel it. This is the perfect time to deal with some of your fears of failure, to reevaluate what is going wrong, what can you do to move forward. And so for this one, I think the update really is to actually take the time, but don't take all of the time. You shouldn't be spending the entire quarantine focusing on this. I had seen a couple articles about how to deal with the stressors of what's going on, like feeling afraid and all these other things concerning the virus and what's happening in the world. And I said that the best thing for you to do is to dedicate an hour or a day. I would say an hour, not a day. So let's say you say on Monday at 3 p.m., I'm going to sit with my fear. I'm going to write down everything that I'm afraid of, that is keeping me from moving forward. And I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to try to understand, why am I feeling this way? I think that this is probably the best time to deal with that fear of failure, or just deal with your fear, so that you can overcome it and move forward. I suggest you take the time out, maybe spend the first 30 minutes thinking about your fear, and then spend the next 30 minutes coming up with solutions, coming up with ways and how you're going to move forward. Number 4, figuring out how to create the right mindset for a job search. I talked about developing a growth mindset where you actually believe that there are many possibilities out there for you, and that you can always grow, you can always learn new skills, and that you can really go after whatever it is that you really want to do. If you want to become a teacher and you don't have a degree in education, you can still go back to school. You can still learn through different ways to gain new skills so that you can be marketable to get the career profession that you're looking to get. I think for right now, since a lot of companies are currently in this weird limbo where some of them are fully functioning, or some of them are half functioning, some of them have stopped job searches, I think that this is not the right time to be applying for jobs, but this is definitely the right time to be working on your skill set and developing your skill set. And even if it's just one thing, like working on your resume, working on your CV, working on your cover letter, like that is something that I think you can definitely do during this time that is appropriate, that once this is all over, you're ready to hit the ground running. Number 5, figuring out living at home as an adult. So I said to enjoy your time alone when you're living at home and as an adult. And right now, like, there is no alone time. And as an adult that lives at home with her mama and her brother, there is no alone time. I cherish the moments when my brother goes for a walk and my mother goes to the grocery store. Those moments I cherish. I cherish when everybody is asleep in the house and I happen to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I cherish those moments. But the one thing about living at home as an adult, the one benefit I would say about that, for the Rona remix, is that you're not alone. So that's the good thing, that you're not alone. And I know there's quite a few people that live alone that are now quarantined alone and are very desperate for like interactions with other people, the opportunity to talk to people. And I know that I don't have that because I live at home with my mama and my brother. And all I'm thinking about is like, how long will it take after I start my new job for me to move out of this house? And is it worth it to save up until I can buy for a house, or just go ahead and just go find myself like an affordable like studio or small apartment and just save money that way until I can get a place? Because I don't know if I can, after this, I don't know if I can go into 2021 living at home with my mama. I don't know if I can do that. I think this is enough quality time. And I feel like for most of y'all that you're probably thinking about that too. But for now, I would say that living at home as an adult right now is a blessing. Number 6 is figuring out fear of missing out and how to overcome it. Now, this one, I start talking about, learn to distinguish what is truly important and necessary from what is merely desirable, and focus on the kind of things that enhance the quality and not the quantity of your experiences. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, for y'all who suffer from FOMO, okay, get over it. As the mayor of Chicago said about those who want to go to the parks in Chicago, and she got to shut that down. And she said, hey, your jump shot ain't that great in the first place. And so practicing during the quarantine ain't going to make it better. Stay your behind at home. And I feel the same way. You are missing nothing. I don't care if it's your grandma's birthday. I don't care if it's your best friend's wedding. I don't care if it is a free concert by Beyonce in Central Park. Stay your ass at home. You are missing nothing. There is an internet for a reason, okay? Al Gore's internet is there for you. And we all have access to it. And they didn't shut it down. And we still have social media out here, so you can use your social media so that you can record it from afar and watch it and enjoy it. But you don't need to be there. Okay. And for those of you who are deciding to have events and then want to guilt people into coming to these events and saying, you're going to miss my big event, you're going to miss this, you better stop that shit. Okay. Stop it. I'd rather miss your 30th birthday party so that I can miss my own funeral. All right. I'd rather miss it. Send me a picture or postpone it and we can have a big old party. But for now, stop that nonsense. You ain't missing nothing. You not missing nothing. And if you do, recreate that shit at your house. If you miss the club, recreate the club at your house. Okay. If you miss traveling, recreate that at your house. I saw some people walking on a treadmill with a suitcase because they miss going through airports so badly. That's great. But don't go out here, okay? And if you decided that you want to go celebrate your friend's 30th birthday party and you want to go to their house, you are spreading the virus. You want to grind up on people, you spreading the virus. You want to get lit. And then after a while, forget where you are spreading the virus and making it impossible for any of us to actually have fun this year. And so check your fear of missing out. Check it at the door. Get over it. Get over it. We all missing something. How about you miss out so we can all enjoy later? Going on to number 7, figuring out celibacy. Well, I already told y'all I've been celibate for 2.5 years, coming up on 3. And I'm going to tell you right now, the one good thing about it, due to the quarantine and the Rona, is that I ain't got nobody trying to hey, why don't you come through? We can try to be extra safe. There ain't nobody knocking at my door and I ain't knocking at nobody else's door because it's already been closed for the last 2.5 years. And so I already have coping mechanisms to keep me nice and even when I get the urge. Okay. When I get the urge. And so I'm not over here suffering because I've already been dealing with that for the last 2.5 years. Okay. And for y'all who haven't been celibate, and are now forced to be because you live alone and your bae lives somewhere else, or maybe your bae got the Rona and you ain't got it. Don't be like Idris Elba's wife and say, fuck the Rona. That's my husband. I'm going to sit on it. I'm going to bring him back to life with that good. Don't do it. Don't take the chance. I'm sorry. I heard Demetria Lucas talk about it on her latest podcast episode. And her podcast is Ratchet and Respectable. And I was so with her. I know the vows say in sickness and health, but it didn't say that when you sick, I'm supposed to get sick with you and possibly die because we don't know how the Rona is going to affect me because it affected you in a certain way. It ain't about that. It's about taking care of someone while they're sick and not leaving them. But it's not about getting sick with them. And so ain't no dick out there, no vagina out there worth getting the Rona over. So trust me, try to practice some ways of self-love. Okay, practice some self-love. You'll get through it and you'll be back to hoeing like you were before. Number 8, figuring out how to start off the new year right and make it your best year. Well, I talk about do a year of review and get rid of the old and make room for the new in your life and focus on what you really want and put yourself first at the top of that list. And as we already know, 2020 didn't have much of a time to actually pop off for us to have a great year so far. So far, we spent most of 2020 inside the house with uncertainties about jobs, about housing, about food, about health. And so it's kind of hard to talk about how to start it off when even if you did your best efforts to start it off, the greatest, that right now it has been put on hold. And that's how you should look at it, that this year is put on hold, or you can just take all the things that you hope for, all the things that you were going to work on, and just kind of, if you can, work at it at home. And if you can't, push that goal off into 2021. Because that's realistically when we're actually going to have life again, or push it off into the fall where they think that we will have somewhat of a grasp on it. But again, it doesn't mean that this year has to be completely just a wash, because 2019 was not great and people talking about they miss 2019. And I know I don't miss 2019. I know I don't. Okay. I plan for 2020 to still be a jumping off point for me, a new chapter in my life. And it can be a new chapter for you too. It might be a different chapter than you thought. Maybe it's not the great chapter, but maybe it's the building chapter. Okay. Number 9 is figuring out how to stick with something and when to quit. I talk personally about how I came to the decision to leave my job, my university teaching job, and to move on and go find something else. And as most of you know, that worked out for me. I took a leap of faith, decided not to go back to that same old, because it was not serving me. And it was actually just making me more bitter and was actually bringing some toxicity to my life and not helping me grow. And so I made a decision to take the time to figure out what I wanted to do and then to work on that, the materials and the things that I needed to do to apply to a new job. And I got a new job. That happened. And I think this is the best time to sit down and think about what is working and what's not working. And if it's not working, time to move on. If you realize that job that you had that you thought was great doesn't even offer working at home, and now you're unemployed because this job didn't even think of how to have some kind of disaster preparedness, and you're seeing all the faults, this might be a good time to say, after this, I'm not coming back. I'm just not going to come back. Take advantage of the stimulus check and the ability to file for unemployment and to automatically get your money and automatically get a certain amount and save up that money, figure out how to pay your bills, and then also find your new path. Find something else to do. If it's a relationship, this is a good time to think about what is not going good and how to get out of that situation. All right, number 10, the last one, is figuring out cancel culture and why it doesn't really work. And I talked about the fact that it's really hard to cancel things because it just doesn't work. Cancellation does not work. And it doesn't work equally because we find that women are more easily canceled than men are. And I used Kanye West as a good example of someone who definitely needed to be canceled for all the reckless shit that he has said in 2019, 2018, 2017, although 2020, he has been quite quiet. He hasn't said anything, but he hasn't been canceled. And he still had a #1 album with his gospel album, and people are looking at him as at his redemption arc. And he just pulled the same move that R. Kelly did after, he had the whole trial for the sex tape, and then he got off, and then he did Happy People and Step in the Name of Love and did a gospel album and all this stuff. And people were like, we love R. Kelly, we love him, until he fucked up again in a public way. And then finally people were like, okay, I think we can't do this no more. This just showing that cancellation does not work, because you can find your way out of cancellation. But in this case, the one thing that I think you should be trying to cancel is this president. So I hope all of you are registered to vote for this year, so that when the election comes around, because they're not going to postpone that, they're just going to find a way. And we now know that it's most likely going to be Joe Biden versus the Trump. And if you really want to cancel something, cancel this president, cancel this administration, cancel every single thing about it. Don't cancel this year. This year's not done. It's not done. It's never done. But cancel this administration. So make sure that you're registered to vote. And that's what I have to say to you guys. That is Figuring Out Your Life, the Rona remix. Okay, this is a real quick one. So I know y'all ain't doing it, because I know that my listeners are people with sense. But for all those fucktards out there that decide that they want to be funny and they want to go out to the stores that have, the stores that actually are open because they sell essential items, and they want to go and cough and lick on things and act like they're sick, but they don't know if they're really sick because they haven't been tested, because everyone hasn't been tested, but they want to go and cough and lick on items and make them unsellable. figure out why they want to do that. How can we get these people out of humanity? How can we weed them out? How can we do some Darwinism and have them just be completely just wiped out? Because that don't make no freaking sense. Why people in this time, when you start talking about, oh, we're all in this together, and then when you know that only stores that sell essential items are open, and you're gonna go and lick and cough on things and think that you are funny, and now make those items unsellable. Like that one person that decided to cough on about like $30,000 worth of groceries because she thought it was funny. No. Let's stop that nonsense and let's find a way to kick them out of humanity. And with that, I am done. I hope you guys enjoyed this because I did this for y'all. I hope you were able to get some fun or a little laugh out of this. If you enjoy this episode and enjoy the podcast, please go ahead and share this podcast with at least one person. Share it, spread the love, spread the news so we can grow as a community. Also, if you haven't already, please go ahead and rate and review the podcast on whatever platform that you're listening to. It'd be very helpful. And also, I really would like to start a listener letters section. It would be called like Ask Toya or Talking to Toya. And so I put it in the show notes, information on how to do that. If you have questions that you would like me to answer or would like to get my advice on, some life advice, go ahead and email me at figureoutyourlifeblog@gmail.com. And you put in the subject line, #AskToya, so I know. And when I get enough letters, we can start this segment off and see what questions you guys got out there, and how I can help you figure out your life. And so I hope you guys have a absolutely blessed and healthy and safe morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is. Wash your hands, wear your mask in public, and I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.